Oh, hello, my baby gorillas! And let me just make sure that we're coming through loud and clear. Guys, apologies for last night. I was pulled away. I didn't know, I wasn't expected to be pulled away. It was 2 minutes before my podcast, and I had to go and rescue a damsel in distress. So, and then I've changed it tonight because I had wee bits and bobs to do, so my deepest apologies. And I apologise for looking that way as well, which I've rejigged the sort of lineup. And
I like this part. Whoa.
I've rejigged the sort of setup. I'm going to continue to rejig it until I can actually look to camera. But I'm going to be looking off camera at the computer to make sure I can get the right things, because it looks a bit shifty when he's looking off camera. And why is he looking off camera? So let's just see if this is working. Whatcha? Good. Hi Steve, how you doing, brother? Let me just make sure. I've rejigged the sort of setup. I'm going to continue to rejig it until I can actually look to camera. Oh, but I'm going to be looking off camera at the computer to make sure I can get the right things, because it looks a bit shifty when he's looking off camera. And why is he looking off camera? So let's just see if this is working. Whatcha? So I think this is going to work in the long term. In the short term, it's going to cause problems because obviously I've got to look to the side. I will set it up in the future. Oh, let me just stick this in. I'll set it up in the future to make sure that that doesn't happen again. And eventually I'll be able to live stream. The whole situation is going to get better. The green and the blue screen, the green and the blue screen is going in soon. So we'll be able to do a lot better sort of shows on the back of that. So that's going to be exciting for everybody concerned. Am I still on here? Oh, yes we are. What is happening here? I wonder if I can do this. Oh, which side does it have to get pushed a wee bit this way? No, another way. Honestly, this is why people have cameramen, so they don't have to do all this stuff themselves. This is why there's full crews of people doing this. But as we all know, Rome wasn't built in a day, and we have to do what we can. Better to do something than to do nothing and let these characters away with it. Going to share the stream back in a minute. Thanks, Steve. You're an absolute treasure. So let's get off with this. So why am I talking about Joanna Cherry? Joanna Cherry by name, Cherry by nature. And the reason is, let's just move that out of the way. The reason is that wee Nippy might be disappearing. We might have seen the last of the postmodernist Marxist. Oh, let me just get this down. The anti-white man hating lesbian. She might be going away. Oh dear, what a shame. I mean, she is going to go down, without a shadow of a doubt. She is going to go down as the worst First Minister that we've ever had. I mean, that just goes without saying. She has been the most incompetent. Her legacy is going to be a legacy and a litany of failure in every policy area that could have actually happened in Scotland. I mean, Jack McConnell was a relatively competent First Minister. I would say that Salmond was the best. Now, I'm not talking about whether you like unionism or nationalism, or if you like Labour or the Conservative. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about competence in a political environment. And Nicola Sturgeon wasn't. And I actually, as I've said to you, I voted for Alex Salmond. And even though my politics don't align with Salmond's and Sturgeon as well to start with, when I found out that she was a postmodernist Marxist and a globalist shill, obviously that changed. But as all of the 5 parties that are in the Scottish Parliament are de facto globalist shills and postmodernist Marxists, you shouldn't be voting for any of them. You have to now be a lot more discerning where you put your vote. And it shouldn't be going to any of these characters. What are you guys saying? Somebody pinch me, somebody pinch me. So, I know. So she says she's going to leave before the next Holyrood elections. Which is great news, because to be honest with you, we couldn't get rid of her, and we can't get rid of her fast enough. It's amazing news for Scotland. It is and it's not, because I'm worried that we're just going to get the same embodiment of what Nicola Sturgeon represented in a different face. It's Nicola Sturgeon. It's not Nicola Sturgeon as a person. Well, that's obviously debatable, but it's not per se Nicola Sturgeon. It is what Nicola Sturgeon's politics are and what the politics represent. This postmodernist, woke, men-hating, open immigration, globalist shilling. I mean, all of these are anti-Scottish. People have said they think Nicola Sturgeon, even though she's a member of the Scottish National Party, which you think would be a quasi-patriot party, is almost like an oxymoron, where the left, when you say that Hitler was a Marxist, the left then say, oh yeah, and North Korea is a democracy. Which obviously it's not, but that's a false equivalence. That's not the same thing. But saying that North Korea is a democracy and that Nicola Sturgeon is a nationalist is an accurate equivalence. Because Nicola Sturgeon, from her own lips, is not a nationalist. Nicola Sturgeon, from her policies, she's drip-fed in like a cancer, like ass cancer, into the Scottish political system, along with the other left-wing parties, Labour, and the Greens. You could probably throw the illiberal, liberal, undemocratic Democrats. But even the Conservative Party have bowed to this because they've caused the problem through their open door immigration, which is continuing today, which Ragdolliana Liz is not going to do anything about. And we have this pantomime that, oh, I'm in vogue and you're not in vogue, and why the fuck you would put Nicola Sturgeon in the front cover of anything? I don't know. How not to run a country, that's the only cover she should be in, and maybe Trotsky's Everything's Racist book, who was the person who invented the word racist, and who was murdered tens of thousands of people in Russia. So this is from Tom Gordon. Tom Gordon's a competent journalist. What's it in though? Is it, you get the Herald? So Wednesday, the 10th of August 2020, 5th Minister of Scotland and leader of the fake Scottish National Party, First Minister Nicola Sturgeon during Ian Dale's all talk with Nicola Sturgeon, which was half empty, which might have actually indicated that wee Nippy's popularity is going right down the stank. Glasgow looks terrible, rubbish all over the streets. There's people there from everywhere through the open door immigration policy that wee Nippy's pushed. Nicola Sturgeon has admitted she may not lead the SNP into the next election, saying she will decide whether she's still the right person near the time. If you don't know that you're not the right person to lead Scotland, you need your head checked, because everybody else does. Everybody knows that you're not the right person to lead Scotland anywhere. You've so far led Scotland up a garden path. That's where Scotland's gone under your tenureship. Saying she'll decide if it's still the right person near the time. The First Minister said her default position was that she would attempt to win a 5th term in power for her party in 2026. I'll definitely have set up. In fact, within months, my new political party will be set up. What, Dave? Why are you setting up a political party? Don't you know in the Electoral Commission that there's over 4,000 registered political parties in the UK, and obviously only 5 of them are winning anything. So that just shows you. What's actually happening. Maybe 5, maybe 6. However, by which time she would have First Minister for 12 years and had zero big ideas. Even like the Scottish stock market, which she's not managed to produce, £1 million just disappeared of your taxpayers' money, just disappeared. We don't have a Scottish stock market, which would have been beneficial. It was my idea, it was a great idea, but we still don't have it because the guy disappeared with it into the ethernet. And they were trying to create it round Baldy Dr. Evil's daft ideas that are coming out of Davos. That it's got to be stakeholder and all this other crap. What should have been was just like a normal stock market, but they couldn't do that. They couldn't deliver that, as they haven't been able to deliver any of their other plans and policies under Nicola Sturgeon. However, she was told an audience at the Edinburgh Fringe that it was not a given, and she would have to assess whether she still had the appetite or energy to do so. I would think that you've not got the ideas. It's not the energy or anything else. You don't have any ideas. You don't have any follow through from the position that you've had in power. There's nothing. You're not going to get Scottish independence, so you'll have failed there as well. There's nothing that your legacy is going to be that of one of not delivering anything. You haven't delivered anything. In the I think it was 7 years. I think Alex Salmond, was it in 12 years she's been in? It would have been 12 years First Minister. And it'll be a tenure. It'll be reflected on historically that you have done nothing, zero, no ideas. Scotland's not moved 1 inch further forward. I would say it's actually regressed rather than actually moved forward. The Glasgow Southside MP, who is 52, would have been in the Scottish Parliament 27 years by the next election, making her one of the longest serving members. Ms Sturgeon, I wonder why that is, made the comments in the Ian Dale old talk show at the Pleasance in the EICC. Now the Pleasance also then banned a comedian, wee nippies, that wee twisted wee mouth, wee witch type of way, that she actually probably got the comedian banned herself, or probably put a word in. She was probably the person that complained because they left her so unfunny that they don't know what humour is, and they want to control everything. Wee nippy will still be putting her 2 cents in the background. UK government published full Supreme Court case against India F2. So she's probably not going to get another independent referendum. So the reason that this is coming to a head is she's going to have failed again to get a policy through, and nothing's going to come. This is a smoke and mirrors to keep the nationalists on side, which I don't have a problem with in itself, but this is smoke and mirrors to keep the nationalists on side for another policy that will go unfulfilled. So I've got no problem with people who want nationalism. My problem isn't with the nationalist movement. My problem is that Nicola Sturgeon's a communist, basically a postmodernist Marxist, and I would say that it was the left who have obviously, you know, I'm a centrist libertarian, but the authoritarian left has been and their daft ideas that never work. They keep coming up with these stupid ideas that never work, is never beneficial. Tax more, bigger government, never works, and that's the problem. The problem is the delivery and the domestic policies, which she has never been able to do. Asked about her future, whether she would stay in touch with ordinary voters' concerns. She hasn't done that for a start. She's not done anything after so long in office. She said, "Who in the room can say with 100% certainty what we'll be doing in 4 years from now?" The default position is that, of course, I'll be fighting the next election, but I will make a judgment on that near the time. This is a serious job, and anybody in a job like this owes it to the public to make sure that they are the right person to do it, which you're definitely not, and haven't been for the 12 years. You haven't been. Alex Salmond's tutelage of you was completely the wrong person. He made the wrong choice. and we've now had the worst female, and I don't blame a full gender. This is I'm not gender blaming here, but it's unfortunate that the first female First Minister has been so incompetent and so bad. And this is a problem with trying to go up the political tree like Boris. So these like Nippy has got to the top and then can't deliver. Boris couldn't deliver. Boris could have been the best, the greatest First Minister, but can't actually deliver. Let me just make sure I'm streaming here. So he can't actually deliver.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me for today's talk. There's an
urgency. And then can't deliver. Boris couldn't deliver. Boris could have been the best, the greatest First Minister, but can't actually deliver. Let me just make sure I'm streaming here. That's quite interesting. YouTuber Resisting Lies has done some in-depth videos on Me Cranky. Yeah, of course he has. He's DJ's a great YouTuber, but so he can't actually. He's that's completely correct. He's the DJ's very good, and it was a great time going on and actually speaking to them. Speaking to all the guys, I think this is hilarious as well. This is the best, and it just sums up Nicola Sturgeon. 5 guys, no food, and everybody dies. That's absolutely dynamite. 5 guys, no food, and everybody dies. Millions have killed. And now Baldy Dr. Evil and the German megalomaniac, we've not had one of those before, who it was strange how bad Merkel's policies were, but we now know where she got them from. Obviously the globalist shill that she was, and from the WEF. So let's go back. That they got the appetite. So Nicola Sturgeon has been prolific at staying in office, and she stayed in office and done nothing. What's her legacy going to be? Baby boxes? I mean, really, what is the legacy that Nicola Sturgeon's got? No stock market. You've got to queue up for your health service. The education system's in a mess, will have to be redone. She couldn't get the stock market, can't grow the economy. I mean, really, honestly, what a shambles. She will have zero things to actually placate her in the future. For when people look back at her tenure and her reign in power, she will have been very successful at getting power, but she will not be successful at what she has done with the power. Just like Boris, Nicola Sturgeon should have been out. I was close to getting her last time when she was doing the stuff with Alex Salmond, and she should have left then. She was well past her sell-by date. But I think, and this is why I've said this, we're going to swap one childless, lesbian, misandrist, postmodernist, Marxist, globalist shill for another lesbian, childless, misandrist, postmodernist, Marxist, globalist shill in Joanna Cherry. So we're just actually changing faces. It's not the underlying policies of these women that's a problem. It's Nicola Sturgeon that's a problem. I would suggest that it's the women and how they actually think about the world and how their policies are that's the problem. I would suggest, but this has obviously been indoctrinated in our education system. We already know this. This the Lotus Eaters did something on that as well. Get out of that. Did something on what was happening at Manchester University, so he's going to go and look at that. This is a serious job, and anybody in a job like this owes the public to make sure that they are the right person to do it, and they've got the energy to do it, that they have got the appetite, and that they are prepared to make enormous commitment that a job like this involves, and consistently to be assessing and reassessing that. Yeah, and you should have understood that I mean, she's quite chirpy in the fact of negating all her mistakes, but there's so many mistakes that it's unbelievable. I think that That's important. I will try my best to do that. I think most Scottish politicians of all parties will testify to maybe this is a bit Scottish, not unique, but particularly Scottish. I think politicians that get out of touch and above themselves very quickly get brought crashing down to earth in Scotland. However, she said she remained up for the challenge of fighting a second independence referendum, and she wants to hold it in 2023. I'll guarantee you she won't get it. And feeling that fighting the next Westminster election expected in 2024 as a de facto referendum on independence, she said the line pushed by the opponents that she was just waiting for the right time to chuck it, to stand down and move on to some grand international job was nonsense. She said it's wishful thinking on their part. I've been First Minister now for almost 8 years, so 8 years of a disaster. She's, I think, 12 years in Cabinet, or 16 years in Cabinet. 8 years, and in those 8 years I fought and won as leader of my party 8 elections. So you can see why people like the Scottish Liberal Democrats, Alex Cole-Hamilton, would like me to stand down and not be up for the fight anymore. I don't think that's why it is. I don't think you per se, it's because you don't do anything and you're useless in governance. You keep talking, it's all like emotional politics. It's exactly what you would expect from a woman to actually do. It's not practical politics. You've not advanced Scotland one iota. They're going to see in the future a whole nothingness of this span of governance. I'd be up for the challenge. I believe in Scottish independence for my whole adult life. I've campaigned for it for my adult life. It's not about separation. It's about, I think Scotland is better than any other country. It's about self-government. That's fair enough. I've not got an issue with that. It's about being in charge of our destiny. But what we can't be is North Korea of the UK, and which is what Nicola Sturgeon wants to be with her daft politics, our student politics. So let's have a wee look at this. So this is from Mercurius.
Those days.
And I think that sums up all the spaces. She's lost her pizzazz.
So gone.
worst minister. Yeah, that's correct. Nicola Sturgeon's farewell tour, and this is it. She's got no legacy. She has no legacy. She's got a legacy of Dr. Doolittle. That's it, or do nothing. Time for her to go. And let's just see. I think I've got it here as well. Let's just get this correct. Trending in the UK, Scottish Nonce Party. Stop breaking indie, blah blah blah. All hype, no action. Not doing the day job, resign Sturgeon. That's correct. But neither are any other people that are actually in the party. I mean, none of the ministers are any good. A career woman who didn't have kids are seen as cold-hearted bitches. Say Nicola Sturgeon, failed legal career woman. And there she is there. 30 years I want to be in vogue. Well, or that. So, and this sums up the whole of the EU with their red communist background and the EU fanatics as well. The EU, so it's a postmodernist Marxist communist society that they want under the undemocratic auspices of the undemocratic European Union, where 28 unelected commissioners are dictating the legislation with no accountability. And that's what I was looking for there. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. I want to save that. I'll get that later on. So, this is great as well. This guy's obviously been listening to Guerilla TV channel.
You've said that you want the Scottish education system, which used to be regarded as probably the best in Britain, is now worst. You've said that you want to be judged on education, so on that basis, shouldn't you resign?
Correct. Yes, that's it. You should have resigned.
I want to be judged on this. Now that's a challenge, but it is one in which I and my government is determined to show leadership.
Under the SNP, things have got worse, and quite dramatically. Do you know what is going wrong in Scottish schools?
No, she doesn't have a clue. She's completely clueless. I don't know how, I mean, honestly, how do you dress it up? The international recognised PISA rankings.
The internationally recognised PISA rankings, Scotland recorded its worst ever results.
So the worst ever results in Scotland for reading, maths and science.
Last year for reading, maths and science.
So what she does is takes us off the PISA ratings.
You've been in charge for 10 years. Which is why I'm
So Nicola Sturgeon's been in power for, I think, 8 years. But okay, let's say 10.
proud of the fact that...
But I mean, there's 3 lesbians up here and we've got a declining population. And only Ruthie Baby Davison. But I think Ruthie Baby Davison's got a female partner. So that's 2 vaginas. So at that point, through... And I don't really care if they are lesbians, but the 3, Nicola Sturgeon, Kezia Douglas and Wee Nippy, are not only just lesbians, allegedly, obviously, Wee Nippy, but not just lesbians, but all 3 of them are postmodernist Marxists. Even Ruth, don't let Ruth is the most left-wing conservative you could potentially get. And all of them are globalist shills. And all of them, Ruth Davison is out for open borders. That's why she's not mentioned anything about the people flooding in through England and what's happened in Scotland as well. All of those people on that stage are all the same. Open borders, all globalist shills, all postmodernist Marxists, including Ruth Davison. Although she's in the Conservative Party, Ruth Davison is not a big C conservative, an ideological conservative. Ruth Davison is as left as Kezia Dugdale and maybe not as left as Nicola Sturgeon, but they're all on the spectrum when it comes to policy. There's not an inch between them. All of that is swapping which lesbian do you want in charge. If you're not having 3 or more children, Scotland's getting a declining population. So I know Kezia Dugdale's got a bird, and I think she's got a bird. It's incredible that all these lesbians have got birds. So obviously with penisophobia with the 3 of them, that her and her bird would have to have 3 kids each. So whether they turkey-based it, surrogates, adopt, they could. The LGBT community has got requirement. If they're taking office, they have a requirement to reproduce and contribute to Scotland's decrease in population. I'm not wanting to get lectured by a bunch of the LGBT community where they're taking jobs from what could be heterosexual families and not producing any kids. I'm not here to get lectured by them.
We've got £1.5 billion worth of cuts, 4,000 fewer teachers, 1,000 fewer support staff, and a widening gap between the richest and the poorest kids. That's your record. That's 10 years of SNP.
That's right, she's shit. I know, this is that. So she's been incompetent. It's crazy. Actually, on a personal note, personally, like I've spoke to Kezzy before, and I spoke to, I haven't spoke to Ruth before, but I don't dislike them as people, but politically they're just ass cancer.
The richest and the poorest kids, that's your record. That's 1.5 years. Which is why I'm proud of the fact that we've got £1.5 billion worth of cuts.
£1.5 billion worth of cuts.
4,000 fewer teachers.
4,000 fewer teachers. Well, if you destroy the economy by locking everybody in the house for 2 years for a cold.
1,000 fewer
1,000 fewer support
staff.
And so this is where we're actually getting the decline in education, a widening gap between the richest and the poorest.
And a widening gap between the richest and the poorest kids. That's your record.
That's right. That's Nicola Sturgeon's record. And she's also declined by 10 points in maths, English and science on the international basis to the worst we've ever had, which we've already done a podcast on anyway.
10 years of SNP.
5 years ago, you said that the attainment gap had to be closed, and the attainment gap is even higher than it used to be.
If you're a poor kid in Scotland, you now got a less of a chance of going to university than a poor kid in England, and historically that's never happened before.
The First Minister said we should judge her.
Incompetent. And this is because of her. I don't think Nicola Sturgeon is an intelligent woman. This is because of her postmodernist Marxist policies. The policies are wrong, but she's an ideologue. So she thinks that because these policies were brilliant, I don't know, under Marx or however the corruption of the Marxism to try and fit Marx into the modern world, where it's failed every time, that this is her reaping the rewards of her ideology, as well as being a globalist shill from Baldy Dr. Evil in Davos. And I don't know if Nicola Sturgeon was directly, but she's certainly Davos adjacent. She's certainly doing everything that the Baldy Dr. Evil is told her to do.
Record on education.
The OECD report into Scottish education has been delayed until after the May elections.
But that...
So they covered up before the May elections so that people didn't know how bad the Scottish education system was getting under the SNP.
Can't be done if such an important report is hidden from the voters at the election.
So they did that deliberately, just like they covered up the Alex Salmond debacle as well.
Closing the attainment gap, opening up opportunities.
So she says all the right things. She's going to do that, and then the opposite happens. Remember, I keep telling you. So it's like the hustings for Big Nose and Ragdoll Anna. The fact is that they say what they're going to do in front of the Conservative audience, so they're playing to the audience, and then they do something totally different. Ragdoll Anna said that she's going to continue the open door immigration, where men are just flooding into this country.
For every child. That's the number one priority of our government.
Well, if it was the number one priority, then you failed and you need to leave.
How many more times do we have to listen to the same line?
Almost 3,000 less teachers since 2007. Education report card. Average class size is 23.5, up since 2012, despite a promise to reduce it. Spending per primary school pupil has fallen by £280 and by £157 for the high school pupils. Botched plan for blended learning in a response to COVID scrapped, with parents left confused about kids returning to school.
To the same.
Teachers' judgment ignored, with 120,000 SQA results downgraded.
Lines about how education is your...
Poor kids hit twice as hard by downgrading of results and concerns ignored, as John Sweeney proclaims the process was fair for all.
When the actual evidence shows you...
Nicola Sturgeon is in complete denial about the Scots education.
Evidence shows your...
International tests see record low results for Scottish pupils, Scottish school pupils.
Record is what?
New figures show long-term education decline as Scotland falls behind England.
There's one.
Nicola Sturgeon wants SNP to be judged on education, but results are in and they flunked it. Bet that was wee Paul, wasn't it? Wee Paul's been watching the Guerilla TV channel. See if I mention him again.
I'll continue.
Oh my goodness, they're all coming out thick and fast. SNP is failing Scottish school children. The SNP can't disguise Scotland's failing education system.
Continuing.
Scotland dismiss record on education has dismal record on education has done Scotland's children far more harm than the pandemic.
Failure.
Scotland education no longer world leading.
Failure.
PISA performance of Scottish pupils in maths and science at a record low. Don't trust Nicola Sturgeon with your children's future. Yeah, that's right. So I'm not against the nationalist movement. I'm not against independence, but I'm against incompetence and people who shouldn't be in positions of power doing this to your children. So let me tell you something. Obviously, you know about what I did with the dyslexia. You know what I did with the dyslexia? So this is a nice young fella, Wallace Jaffrey. Now I'm not going to play this. I'll try and get rid of that though. I'm not going to play this, but I've never been in a position of political power. Now he's a very intelligent young fellow, but I've probably helped and changed thousands of children's lives through what I've done to help children with dyslexia and other specific learning difficulties. And I certainly don't want a school named after me, but apparently the SNP want to name a school after somebody because they were black. I don't know if that person or Asian, or I don't know what it was, but I don't know if that teacher changed thousands and thousands of children's lives. But I don't want a school named after me, but I would suggest that I probably get more clearance. I don't know what that teacher did, if that teacher was an exceptional teacher, but we don't really name people schools after teachers, even if they're exceptional on the whole in Scotland. But to name it after somebody because of their skin colour is the height of what the SNP is doing and the height of racism just now. And I'm not looking for plaudits, but you can go and look at this yourself. And see if I potentially changed young Wallace's future, which obviously mine had been blighted because of the education system. So I'll leave that one there. What else was I going to do? There was other things I was going to show you. So Joanna Cherry. There's Jojo Cherry. Jojo was a man who thought she was a woman, da la 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 la. And she's a horrible, horrible individual. Wait till we get Joanna here. Nobody's interested what you say. Let's see it. There's Al. Al.
The SNP covered up the Muslim rape gangs. What's that all about?
It's complete nonsense.
It's made up.
Of course it is.
So they didn't.
Who's covered up anything?
It's not. So there wasn't any.
I don't know one way or the other, but if it was in the Sun, that's
I was at the actual demos just covering it. It was the Scottish Defence League. And the SNP, because they obviously control the police, didn't allow any sort of access to me as a journalist going to speak to the people who are holding the demo. So all of the police were actually blockading it. So I've got it on tape. And they did actually at the demo. And then there was big massive protests that weren't.
I don't know anything about that.
Sounds
nonsense to me.
Does Hamza Yusuf know anything about it, do you think?
Well, he's just the secretary, so
thank you very much. Hi, John. Hi, Joanna. Congratulations on getting back again to Parliament.
I don't want to speak to you.
Why do you not want to speak to me?
Go away. We're doing another media interview at the moment.
Can I just ask?
What a horrible, horrible person. Can you imagine that leading the country? I think wee Nippy, we'll be cheering for getting wee Nippy back.
Thank you.
What happened to the £1 million for the Scottish stock market?
She's going to call the police and getting asked questions. Can you imagine that? What a wee Hitler, isn't she? She's going to phone the police. Where's the police? I'm not letting speak to you.
Okay, Joanna, what happened to the Scottish stock market?
Just in the middle of
I don't care.
I think that's very rude of you.
I don't mind if it's rude. Joanna, what happened to the £1 million for the Scottish stock market? Don't touch. No.
Hey, brother, will you go and play with the traffic? Because I'll tell you to go and play with the fucking traffic, right?
Will you?
I'm fucking sure I will.
Will you? Well, that's very violent. Look, you're going live on the internet.
Ah, well, go me. What's that lady there?
Well, don't back up to us. I'm not harassing you. I'm asking you questions, Joanna.
Oh, well, I mean, good stuff.
Yeah, nobody's warned me, Joanna, apart from you.
So, that's Joanna Cherry for you. That's the state of Joanna Cherry. Joanna Cherry doesn't think she's responsible for anybody asking her any questions. They think they're above being asked questions. Let's see what some of the comments were said. This is so good. We voted to leave the EU and the United Kingdom, not a separate country, so the fact that the majority in Scotland voted Remain means nothing whether some people like it or not. It's true. 2 years before the majority of Scots voted no to independence, SNP have wasted money since they pushing that for another because they don't like the answer that the pathetic and act more like a cult these days, which is completely correct. I cannot believe Joanna Cherry won't be in the Scottish general election at all, fighting for the seat at Holyrood. If you ask a politician a question and they don't like it, it appears you are harassing them, especially a Scottish National Party member. Joanna Cherry was kicked out of her job because she was challenged to Nicola Sturgeon's leadership. That's what I've done. I've done a thing about the Battle of the Lesbians, so you can go and have a wee look at that as well. The only bit of interest was 640 and the display what the SNP's really good at: aggressive violence and abuse. I find this all very sad. I would say answer the guy and look good, not aggressively threatening and abusing him. Yeah. Well done, big man. There you go. Thanks very much. No accountability. That's right, buddy. That's right. Zuliet. Off topic, David, your knowledge of finance and fiat currency. Oh, off topic, David, but your knowledge of finance and fiat currency, I thought, was your most interesting video. You obviously have a great expertise in the subject because Scotland will need its own central bank. That's right. Foreign exchange currency. That's correct. Your own debt-based currency. That's correct. Well, it could be decentralised, John, as well, or maybe going back to the backed by the gold currency. That's correct. I'm subscribing because of these videos. Thanks very much, mate. Thank you, mate. Thanks, Jim. Laugh out loud. Best PR you're getting. Daily record. Roll on your subscribers. I have to say, I love the people that watch my channel. There might not be many of them, but they're absolutely fantastic. What a horrible wee creature Joanna Cherry is, isn't she? Oh, no. Joanna Cherry. Jojo was a man who thought she was a woman. Right, where is Joanna? Oh, Jojo Cherry's now got one of my videos taken down. Where is it? Let's see if we can search for another way. Oh, there's the Battle of the Lesbians, the intersectional lesbians. So the Battle of the Lesbians, Amazon, Jojo Cherry by name, Cherry by nature versus Wee Nippy. Go and have a wee look at that one. That's a cracker as well. I don't know where that is. So let's go into Mines. I don't know where that's disappeared to. Mines. Oh, I know I can't go into Mines. That's all very strange, isn't it? It gets weirder and weirder. Mines.com. So they actually try and cancel it now. I could go into Mines. I don't think I got it through Brave. access denied. The owner of this website, Minds, has banned autonomous systems, blah blah blah, from access to the website. Oh, not really, no. How'd you go on? So let's try it another way. That's interesting. Your channel. Can I search my channel? Joanna Cherry. There it is there. See, they're hiding it. And I've got about 1,000 views on this one. Let's have a look at this.
Attention retirees, if you're willing to be at your computer from 9...
Let's have a wee look at this. F's sake, I've been to Dubai, Abu Dhabi and Bahrain during the middle of the 20s as a teen with my old man. I never dreamed, I would never dream of it now as an adult. This is genuinely sad. I hope you get some closure and resolution to this, David. That's very kind of this person there. There's Hank, disgraceful treatment of a good man. This is Jojo Cherry again. I don't know if you can find this. I would look at, if you can look at this HTTPS or link. It's https://www.youtube.com/watch WATCH question mark V small v equals large L 6 B for Bravo O for Oscar small J for Juliet 7 A large capital A for Alpha G for Golf capital G for Golf F, it looks like 0 I think that's correct. Anyway, Mel Kelly. So if you go on the Google Guerilla TV channel and just search Janet Cherry, MP, possibly the worst ever. And really nice comments. You've had the misfortune, Scottish Bud, SNP are more interested in causing problems for us than resolving them. Yeah, mate, that's correct. Mel Kelly of blah 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 covers loads of topics exposing the SNP's establishment. So Mel Kelly of melkelly60.wixsite.com/what the papers don't say. Have you ever got evidence of what happened to you in the UAE? Yes, I have, mate. And how the people, including Miss Cherry, helped out. If true, you have thought they would have been kicking up a stink about this, yeah. And neither did that horrible witch in Glasgow Central, who's the MP, Alison Thewlis. She was equally, if not as bad. All of them did nothing. So the fake Scottish nationalists did nothing. So this is why it would be a disaster actually going with it. I'm going to actually play this full video during this just to fill you in on what actually happened.
Hello. Hi Joanna, how are you?
Hi.
Nice to see you again.
Yes. You look a wee bit different.
Yes.
I'm trying to place you, I know your face, I'm trying to place you.
My name's David Ballantyne.
That's right. I'm good at faces, but not always good
at
faces.
Sometimes my beard's changed, so that's just part and parcel of what's been happening. It was just about your letter. The letter you had sent to the Foreign Office. Remember, I had been held in Dubai for 2 years without a legal ability to work or leave the country.
Yes,
and then the Foreign Office had decided not to investigate it. With my father dying, I couldn't come home for my father's funeral.
I would need to check with Fraser what's happening.
Yeah, you've already sent it back.
Yeah.
So they've refused to actually reinvestigate it.
Yeah.
Because it's over a year. So what's my legal redress? Because I can't
give you legal advice.
No, not legal advice. No, sorry. What's my redress?
I don't think you've got any.
Right, that's great. So it's okay for a foreign government to hold me let me just finish. So it's okay for a foreign government to hold me for 2 years, allow me to starve on the streets, and
hang on a second. I can't remember the exact details of your case. I would need to pull the file up, and because I didn't know you were coming, I hadn't brought it with me.
Sure.
So I can't give you a straight answer to any of this.
I'm telling you.
And get back to you.
No,
I know you're telling me, but I'm not going to answer you till I look at the facts of your case, because it looks at the time. But I'm pretty sure Fraser has already told you there's nothing that we can do for you.
That's fine. So I'm just curious though. though. So the fact is that I've been held in a...
No, I'm not going to answer your questions till I've looked back at your file.
Okay.
Because I don't just give people answers off the top of my head, and it was a complicated situation, and I know you had a hellish time, but Fraser's view was there was nothing I could do about it. And before I change that view, I'd have to go back and look at the whole file.
That's fine,
so what I suggest to do is I do that, and I make an appointment to see you at the next surgery, when I've looked at it properly.
Yeah, okay.
Or I can give you a phone call if that's easier.
Well, so I think you're right. I'm not disagreeing with you. I don't think there is anything I can do. So is that correct? Should that be the case? So I'm being denied.
Look, I'm not responsible for the actions of the Dubai government.
I'm not saying that, but the British. Can I just? Are we having a conversation? If you want to talk at me, I'll listen. If you want to, I'll listen to you.
The reason I'm a bit exasperated is we've been through this several times, and we've given you a view, and I'm not omnipotent. And if I say there's nothing more I can do, I'm generally right about that. But I don't want to commit myself here because I don't have your file in front of me, and I've got hundreds of people's cases I'm dealing with. I do remember it because it's a shocker. What happened to you is a shocker. But there are many British citizens who have been treated badly in countries such as Dubai, and even worse in countries such as Saudi Arabia, and we often find ourselves in a situation where there's very little we can do. Now, I think you had some consular assistance, but it wasn't up to much.
No, but my point is, and my question is for you, surely having the Foreign Office or the embassy in the UAE knowing about my case, that some humanitarian assistance could have been provided. If they knew that I was not legally allowed to work or leave the country, surely in I mean...
I remember that, because you were basically destitute.
I had no... So why was I not even given humanitarian assistance? That wouldn't have affected anything else that was going on. And the embassy knew, because the embassy was informed.
Would you mind waiting outside while I just phone Fraser, because he's back at the office?
No problem.
I can check what our last meeting is.
Sure.
The papers.
Just wait for the papers, right? Okay, thanks.
Did you know that you can make a full-time income from YouTube without ever trying to grow your own channel?
Any British citizen.
Fantastic.
I remember that.
Yeah.
So basically, Foreign Office's position, it's not my position, it's their position, is that they did what they would do for anyone in your situation, any British citizen, that they put you in touch with charities and told you that you could get funds transferred from family in the United Kingdom. Now, I know you saw Alison Thulis, Tommy Shepherd, and then me, because you're here now, and you're in my constituency.
That's correct.
So remember your complaint to the Parliamentary Services Ombudsman about the way the Foreign Office had behaved
Yes.
out of time.
Yes.
So I wrote to them on your behalf.
That's right.
And said, look at this, what this guy's been through. When he got back here, he was homeless.
Mm-hmm.
He's been pushed from pillar to post. Would you not reconsider it? And they said no. And there's nothing more that I can do. And I think Fraser has explained that to you.
Right.
So people are just coming in, getting treated as priority, who have never came from here. The people are being British people are being left in the streets. Yet we can't look after our own citizens, and we're actually treating them as second-class citizens by the globalist shills, by the Conservative Party, by the Labour Party. They're all treating the indigenous population as second-class citizens. And Joanna Cherry of the supposed Scottish National Party doesn't seem really that bored. Didn't raise it in Parliament.
So don't get me wrong, it's not that I'm not sympathetic, but sometimes...
Well, sympathetic, but you're probably more sympathetic to people who aren't even from here, who aren't refugees, who are now getting housed at taxpayers' expense. But yet we can't give humanitarian assistance to people who were assaulted. The taxi driver in Dubai admitted to assault me. It's not my word against his. The money came out an ATM. He said I didn't have any money. The money was digitally, there was a digital receipt that came out the ATM. I only had the 90 dirhams change, which was not the 100 dirhams that came out the ATM. The court didn't even ask for that. They just accepted what the taxi driver said without any checks or balances. I didn't have a lawyer because I've been held for 13 months without a legal ability to work or leave the country for that long. There was 2 years all in, but it was 13 months. So we don't care. We're not going to provide you with humanitarian assistance. Stuff you.
There's nothing more that I can do.
That's fine. Okay, so let's go to something else then. So it's 2 years. I'm just curious as well. Like thing with Begum is in a terrorist sort of thing, and then there was a terrorist guy in Guantanamo Bay who got £1 million from the British government, who should have been in Guantanamo Bay, because when he got the £1 million, he went to Syria and blew himself up.
Process.
I see, but I can't access any legal process because none of the lawyers are prepared to take my case. In fact, Lee Day, who took the terrorist bomber who eventually blew himself up in Syria, his case, refused to take mine, as is Anne Sandler.
I can't do anything about
right,
it.
That's fine. No, but I'm just saying the hypocrisy.
If the lawyers say that you don't have a case.
Right, so the terrorist who was in Guantanamo Bay was who blew himself up, where he should have been in Guantanamo Bay, killed lots of people, got £1 million. But I don't have a case, even though it's documented, everything's documented. So it's again, we're getting treated as second-class citizens. And Tommy Sheridan and everybody else has done nothing about this. Alison Childless, the so-called fake Scottish nationalist. I hate this rat. What rat? I hate this rat. What rat? Lovely woman, aye. Look at you guys, man. Wait till I watch it. Just share the stream. Thanks very much, Steve. Somebody pinched me. I agree. YouTube's listening to lies. Yeah, he's good. He's a good lad. Yeah. Of course, communists will be different this time. Yeah, it always is. Aye. Never changes. Same failed policies. For the frying pan into the gulags. That's brilliant. Rope 100%. POS. I hate this rat. Nonce party. Lovely woman. Nice work. I've got to get off and walk the dogs, right, mate? You have a good one. Great stream as usual. Thanks, buddy.
Then I can't make a case.
Well, I would have said there was a case because I would say
that's why you go to a lawyer, because they will give you the legal advice.
So
and if they don't think you have a case, then they're probably right.
So foreign governments are allowed to keep you and let you starve for 2 years without any legal ability to leave the country or work after being assaulted by one of their taxi drivers. And our shit political class say that, who write the rules, say that I don't have a case for them completely treating me in an inhumane way because of the rules that they set up. But a